Well, hey there, everybody. It's me, Mitch. Welcome, welcome. I guess this is Tuesday Night Live. I know we have Saturday Night Live, Thursday Night Live, so I could call this Tuesday Night Live. Good evening. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. And wow, we're getting off to a good start here. Wow, good start. Well, it's the first evening in my studio here that it's not warm. It's getting chilly outside. I don't have the fans on, and you almost saw me in a big sweatshirt tonight. But with this computer and all the monitors and the studio lights, everything heats up here. So I'll be comfortable tonight. I'll be comfortable. Well, you know, I'm not a doctor. I can't write you a prescription. I don't even own a white coat. I don't give medical advice. I talk about basically my own experiences doing the carnivore lifestyle. And if you can relate to that, that would be great. So there, I got that out of the way. And I hate to do that, but I do it to cover my ass every time without fail, without fail. Well, look, we got them. God, we got them piling in here tonight. I want to thank the members of my private community that are growing, and I really appreciate that. We have a live stream on Thursday night that are becoming great, a lot of fun, and if you'd care to join that, we'd love to have you. No pressure. Lately, I've been releasing my videos. If I get them done a day early, I put them up for the private people. So a lot of those people have seen the video that's going to be released tomorrow already. Whether that's worth anything to them, I don't know. But I am thinking about you guys, so I do appreciate it. They're the ones who have the green text in the chat. I see. I probably ought to start saying hello to some people before I get on to some of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. A couple of announcements. We've got always first in here. My buddy Jody, one of my old drone buddies. Always here first. Good to see you. Linda Price, she said she'd be back soon. I don't know if she's back yet or not. Mama Cracker's here. How you doing? Good to see you. And as usual, right on time, Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee. How you doing? Good to see you. DS111. I'm already looking forward to waking up at 2 a.m. for making coffee. You said the magic word. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Time Traveler Karen is from Connecticut. We have Denise Regona. Hi, how you doing? And DS111 said the music makes you want to go out and have a drink. Yeah, you know, it is a little loungy, I suppose. Less Junk, More Health is here. How you doing? Saying hello to everybody. Julie Adkins from Alabama. Michael Prager, how are you? Good to see you. Mark C. is here. Good evening, everyone, he says. And Jay Hawson is here. Hi from Northern Kentucky. Good to see you. I don't know if you noticed something different tonight, but I am not wearing these glasses. I'm wearing these. Are a little bigger. These are my computer glasses. These are the ones that are specifically made to focus on the computer. So I don't like the way they look as much, but boy, it's much nicer. You probably noticed if you've seen my live streams before that I'm always bending forward to read the chat. With these glasses, I can read it from sitting back here, so I hopefully you won't see too much of this tonight. Protected Lady from Virginia, how you doing? My old buddy Mel, 400 AGL. For those of you that don't know what that means, 400 AGL means 400 above ground level. That's pilot talk. And that's his handle. Another droner, Bill from Coast to Coast Drones. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in, guys. Michael Blaylock likes the music. And Ann Bielecki from Australia. Wow, that always amazes me. Hi, Linda's here. Hi, Linda. Glad you make it back. Maggie May, hi, from Missouri. Julie Atkins, really enjoyed that rib video. Yeah. Well, while you were enjoying the video, I was enjoying the ribs. They came out good, but I get the weirdest comments on some of those videos. I get cooking tips from people. One guy said, I think it was a guy, might have been a lady, said, "Where's the sauce?" You know, it's just not, basically, it's not right. It's not right to have ribs without sauce. But, you know, when you do this carnivore thing, all those things that just seemed normal before, really, I think, detract from it. When you know, the longer you do this, it seems, the better meat, just meat, the better it tastes, just meat and salt, the better the flavor is. It's not all covered up with tomato, ketchup-y, smoky, saucy, sugary things that hide the flavor of the actual food. So I think that I like it better without the sauce. But listen, there are a few sauces out there with no sugar and very simple, maybe just some spices. And if you got to have them, have them. Have them. I'm not one of these OCD purists. My only danger that I look out for is anything that might trigger an addiction or remind my brain about something I finally got over and get me back into it. Other than that, if a little bit of plant material happens to sneak into my diet, I don't care. I don't go out of my way to eat it. But if I want to put a little garlic on something sometime just to flavor it a little differently, I'll do it, as long as it doesn't set me off to want more of it. And I think that's the key. And Ed McMahon, DS111, how you doing? Victory. Hi, Victory. How are you? We have Sunenge. Hey, everyone from Austin, Texas. Good to see you. And Northside Hank is here, and Kelly Burdett is here. Keystone Ken, how you doing? Keystone Ken just joined the private community. Oh, you're from Florida. Well, welcome. Welcome. Good to see you. Baddest Cat, Coco. Hi, Coco. Wally Ram, how are you doing? And Bags Pack Family. I don't know if you know this guy. He's got a very large YouTube channel, and he made his channel famous and he's got just tons of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of them, close to 200,000. And he and his family have lived in Indonesia for a long time, and they travel around. And he informed me, he's in Indonesia now, he informed me that he's going to be coming home, back to the States this summer. So look forward to that. It'll be good to see you here. And you like a Keystone Ken, any links to the Keystone Cops? Wally Ram, take 2 strips of crypto. Yes, sir. And here's Julia. Hiya, Julia. Julia's become my sidekick in the chat, in the live stream on Thursday night. Mirac. Well, I'm glad you like my recipes. They're the simplest recipes in the world. They're basically can be summed up. Take food, put it near fire, and then eat it. And if it's any more complicated than that, it's not for me. Somebody else today sent me a helpful hint on the fact that I put aluminum foil. Remember, if you saw that video, I put aluminum foil down before I put the stainless steel rack on. And they said, you should use parchment paper instead of foil. You'll thank me later. And I mean, I've had people tell me don't cook foods in foil because the aluminum does migrate to the food. And even if that was true, I only use the aluminum foil so I don't have to wash the grease out of that half sheet pan. Just take the aluminum foil, it's full of fat and grease drippings, and I just fold it up into a ball and throw it away. And the pan is perfectly clean. the aluminum foil does not touch the food. The food is sitting raised up from the aluminum foil on a stainless steel rack. So I explained that to them. But I appreciate people that are looking out for my health. That was nice of them. What do we have here? We have Walk This Way. Hi, Mitch. You look like you've lost a bit of weight lately, looking great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Actually, I'm the same weight that I've been for over a year now. 138, 139 pounds every morning. And I don't know what makes the difference. But thank you. Thank you. Anybody that tells me I'm looking great. I had a commenter today tell me I was looking, how did he put it? Emaciated or something, gaunt or too thin. And I don't think there's such a thing. Maybe if you, like a vegan. Yeah, that's the last thing I look like is a vegan. Oh, well. I do get a kick out of the comments. I mean, I read them all day long. They keep popping up on my phone, and half the time I just answer them right then because, otherwise they build up. Michael thinks I'm smarter than most of the doctors. Not to sound too egotistical, but basing on what I hear come out of these doctors' mouths, I think we're all smarter than most of these doctors. I think anybody that's watched one Ken Berry video is smarter than all the doctors. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Keystone Ken. I can imagine the Keystone Cops jokes that you've gotten. I used to get, oh, Mitch, like sing along with Mitch, like Mitch Miller, like Mitch Ryder, and I used to get that all the time. And I'd say, oh, wow, that's funny. I've never heard that before. Alan Sadiq Khan, hello from Rockaway Beach, New York. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? If I remember, that's Long Island, isn't it? I think it is. I think Rockaway Beach is Long Island. I've been to New York a lot. Only been out to Long Island once or twice. Oh, Mel says it's good to see you. Well, good to see you too, Mel. And we have Terry and Steve. Hey, Mitch from New Freedom, PA. Did you buy an air fryer? Well, I have two air fryers now. I have a Kasori and I have that Z-Star. And everybody I had the link to that Z-Star, and I think that so many people bought them that they ran out of them, or nobody seems to be able to have them in stock anymore. So I changed the link on my website to a Ninja that's very, very similar, and will certainly do everything that the Z-Star does. But I will buy one of those as soon as one of my two air fryers just craps out. I don't particularly want three of them. I don't use them all that often. I use them to make chicken wings in, and I use them to heat up, to finish the ribs, things like that, oddball stuff. But like a lot of carnivores who cook their steaks in them all the time, they work, and it's a great way to cook a steak from frozen. If you got a frozen steak and you forgot to thaw it out and you just want dinner, in 20 minutes, you can put a frozen steak in an air fryer, and it comes out pretty good. But when you sous vide those things and sear them in butter, or you sear them in butter first and finish them in the oven with one of these meter digital thermometers in it, those steaks, you've seen the videos, I hope, that I've done where I cut into those things. They're too good not to do it, especially when you got to, these steaks are expensive. And when you do cook them, you want to make sure not only don't you overcook them, but you make them come out as good as you possibly can. I was at my daughter's in over near Tampa on Sunday, and she's just newly started the carnivore diet, and she went to Sam's Club, and she got some ground beef. It's Wagyu, they call it, Wagyu ground beef. Whether it's legitimate Wagyu from Japan from, hand massaged cows, I don't know. But it comes in vacuum sealed 1 pound packages, 3 of them together, like in a strip. and the stuff is about $6 a pound, which is, you know, a couple bucks a pound more. A couple bucks a pound more than the Sam's stuff, which is usually about $4 a pound. It didn't say how much fat was on it, but when we cooked them up in a pan, there was a lot of fat. So I'm sure they're pretty high fat. But I got to tell you, it was some of the best, honest to God, it was some of the best tasting ground beef I've ever had. There's something about it. And on the package, the only thing the ingredients said was beef, nothing else. So there's no sugar, no nothing. But it was so good. It was that good. It was so good that I have a Sam's and a Costco membership, that I am going to Costco and I'm going to buy a bunch of that stuff. It was much better, much more tender. I can't even describe why it was better. It's just so much easier to chew. It was great. So if you have a Costco membership, pick up a pack of that stuff. I think it's $6 a pack for a pound, and try it. And you may like it, you may not, but I'm telling you, for me, I'm sold on it. I really, really liked it. I loved it. Maria Sanchez, good evening, Mitch. 6 eggs and a pound of ground beef. Good for you. Good for you. And we have Lady Tex. I have a lot of people whose names I don't recommend. That's great. Any of the new people here, welcome. Welcome. I don't know what you're expecting. Anybody that's been here for a while will tell you that they don't even know what they're expecting every time I do a live stream. I go, they have Wagyu at their Sam's, Michael Prager says. Wow. Okay, I'll have to look for it there. I never noticed it. I'll look for it there. I'm going tomorrow morning. Okay, thank you. People never know what to expect from me. I go off on tangents. I go off on rants. I have no structure to the show whatsoever. It's not really even a show. It's basically just an open house where a lot of my friends come over and we talk. I try to really interact with the people in the chat. I try to answer questions. I do the best I can, but I'm just one guy, and you've all seen this. This is what I'm trying to keep track of, all at the same time with the chats going by and everything. And I think we get through it. And it usually ends up lasting close to 2 hours. And when I finally fall out of my chair, the coffee's gone, and I say, see you next time. At any rate, good to see you. Good to see you. We got, according to this thing, 143 people. That is terrific. That's terrific. 145. I don't know who you are, but thanks for coming. Makes me feel good. We're not going to go on all night with this saying hello, but I usually like to get down a little bit into the chat. The chat is going by, and I'm glancing at it, and I see something that I want to address, but I don't. That's what I do. I go off on tangents all the time. We have Northern Stitcher. I'm just tickled that I can read so clearly with these glasses. I guess I'm going to have to keep wearing these. Good evening to you, and Dizzy Willow is here. Yo, 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 what's up, Mitch? Yo. And Mike K, veteran from Arizona. Thanks for my service. Well, thank you for your service too, Mike. We all appreciate that. Those were better times back when I was in the late 60s, when I was in the service. It's the only thing woke about then was what they did to you at 5 o'clock in the morning. Other than that, I don't know if I would want to do it today. Protected lady, dip ribs in melted butter. Yeah, now you dip anything in melted butter. Occasionally I buy these snow crab legs. I love them in hot, not butter so much, but I heat up ghee, which is drawn butter, and shrimp. I do that with shrimp too. They're great, or lobster, which is something I don't eat very often, but that's delicious. I got mine, 1956. The genius of your videos are simplicity. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do at all times try to abide by the KISS rule. It's much easier and easier for people to understand, but sometimes I get complicated. Buy a lecky. Buy a lecky. Buy a lecky. I'll remember that, Ann. Thank you very much. Wally Ram, fatty meat is its own sauce. That's true. That's true. Absolutely. It's like, people will say, "Well, what kind of oil do you fry your bacon in?" And I look at them like, "What? Time out. You don't fry fatty meat in some other oil. It comes with the oil built in. That's the good stuff." Josephine C., how you doing? And Linda Price. Linda Price said something. Who's she talking to? With sauce, you don't know Chuck has a different flavor. Say tri-tip or ribs of ground all beef. Yes, if you put sauce on it, every piece of beef you eat tastes like the sauce. Is it normal to find eggs to be inedible? No, I don't know. I haven't. I have never had trouble putting an egg down. I know that if sometimes you find you can't tolerate meat anymore, there's a Lone Star tick. You get a bite from that thing, and it gives you some kind of a deal, which pretty much makes you allergic to meat. But I haven't heard anything about eggs. If it all of a sudden comes on, maybe you got a batch of bad eggs. Can't tell you. KS girl must be KS from Kansas. How you doing? And Zebonot Smith is chiming in. How you doing? He's feeling fantastic. Mario Sanchez, good to see you. I love it when my 7-year-old granddaughter asks for seconds when eating ribeye. A smart kid. Smart kid. She's developing finer tastes. And we have Marlan from the Netherlands. Good to see you. Lawrence, good morning. He must be in Australia or something. And Roy West is in Ontario, Canada. God, all these different people chiming in. Redheads rule. Mitch, what's your recipe for cooking a roast in the Z-Star? I don't do roasts. The problem, I don't do roasts or big things like that. I mean, it's an adventure for me cooking enough ribs for 4 meals because I eat 1 meal or 2 meals a day. And if I was to make a whole roast, it would go bad before I finished it because I'd have to stop eating everything else until I ate the roast. You can, I guess, do a roast in the Z-Star. The closest thing I make to a roast is a chuck. And I do that in a slow cooker for about 8 hours on low. And then I shred it up, put it in the fridge in its own juices, no water in it. I have a recipe on it. It's my biggest video, the how to do a chuck roast. That thing's got 185,000 views, which blows my mind. Basically, you take this chuck roast here, you put it in this slow cooker here, you put the lid on, you turn it on. Thank you very much. That's pretty much it. And it's delicious. It's delicious, and it's all shredded up, and then you cut a hunk out of it. When it's all solidified, you've got collagen on the bottom, and then a layer of fat, and then the meat, and you get every bit of goodness out of that piece of chuck roast. It's great way to do it. Jennifer Marlowe, hey y'all, how you doing? John Lindsay's here, and I think we're starting to see a lot of repeats. So the rest of you guys, I'm going to try to go down further down in the chat. I'm almost at the bottom here. Okay. David Alexander started with Bob Briggs. Wow. Butter Bob. He was like 7-8 years ago. There are 2 stories about him. There are people say that he passed away, and there are other people who say that he just dropped out because of the heat he was getting from having a YouTube channel. But he was one of the first, and he got his nickname Butter Bob because I think the title of his first video was "Butter Made My Pants Fall Off" or something like that. But I've watched a few of his videos, and he was just a regular down-home kind of guy, and he caught on, and he had a pretty good thing going there for a while. Carnivore Hat Trick, Bob Briggs, Ken Berry, and now me. Thank you. Hey, listen, I'm flattered to be mentioned with those guys. Let me fire up my phone here and look at my notes. I wanted to I want to try to keep an eye on the chat. I might miss some things. If you do have a question for me in capital letters, put QQQ or type the word question in caps, and I'm more likely to see that scrolling by when I glance over to the chat over there. I'm releasing a video tomorrow. It's already out there. A lot of you in the private community have seen it already. I got finished it today, so I released it for the private community, which is the same thing I did with the ribs video yesterday. I like to do that for a couple of reasons. It's almost like I've got a community of proofreaders out there. I finish these videos, and I can pretty well count on people who watch them early to point out anything that didn't make sense or mistakes in the comments, and that would allow me time to re-edit it or fix it before I release it to everybody. So you guys in my private community didn't realize you had a job, but I do appreciate that. So if you see something in a video that I release early, kindly let me know. It always seems to be such a rush to get these things edited. I try to stay ahead of the game. This YouTube, the analytics that we have on YouTube actually tells me how many of my regular viewers, what times of what days they're most likely online. And you get a chart with bars, and the hours go up and down on the chart. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the busiest days. Tuesday and Wednesday are the slowest days, and the majority of viewers don't even come on until sometimes 3 o'clock. But on the weekends, it starts at 11. So if I'm going to put out a video on the weekend, I find myself rushing the editing in the morning to get it done, and then it takes 45 minutes just to upload it to YouTube and have them check out for copyrights and all that other stuff before I can actually blast it out there. But the video tomorrow that I'm doing is what I think one of the more important videos, unfortunately, that don't get as many views as the how-to videos. And I try to mix it up. Some videos I do are about the science and the psychology and the mindset and the reasons and why you fail, why you can't deal with cravings, that kind of stuff, which is where the real problem lies, in my estimation. It's not the most popular thing to talk about, so you don't find a lot of YouTubers spending a lot of time because you're just not going to get the views. I can't worry about that. I read the comments. I read them all, and it's hard to read some of these comments when you're reading about somebody who a few days ago was all excited about it and 4 days later has already failed. They could not control the cravings. They could not go a week. And I watch everybody's videos, and I spend a lot of time watching videos. And everybody gives you the advice. I mean, the advice is simple. I could give that same advice. Somebody said to me, well, I got this and I feel that way. And I could say, well, you need to have just beef, salt, and water for 90 days. Okay? Who's next? There isn't 2 out of 100 people who have never done carnivore that could just do beef, salt, and water for 90 days. They would last 3 days, tops, before their addictions were torturing them so badly that they're on their way to the store to buy ice cream, and they're done. And if you could see all the comments that I see, it's amazing. It's amazing. Hi, Mitch. I'm on day 3. I'm on day 7. I'm on day 12. I'm on day 6. I'm on day 9. And then once in a while, somebody will chime in. I've been a carnivore for 7 years. Oh, hey, great, a real carnivore. And then the next one, I'm on day 2. and I'm having this problem, what do I do? Or I'm on day 7. And then you never hear from these. You never see them again. You never hear from them again. No more comments from them. They try and they fail. And it's very understandable why they fail. And I've been on kind of a mission since I started this channel to help people understand why they're failing and some of the tricks that they can do to get past those failures. But it's not easy. It's not easy to just start eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, or beef, salt, and water. It's not easy. So you can't just give somebody that advice and say, see you next time. Good luck. Addiction is the reason, and I keep harping on this addiction until people are blue in the face or they're tired of hearing it. Addiction. It's a substance addiction, sugar. It's the oldest addiction the human animal has. Sugar addiction goes back to the days when sugar, the berries, and the grubby root vegetables were survival food. I keep talking about this. And they became important because when the hunt failed, when there was no meat, when the weather was bad, whatever the reason, and you either ate the sugar or died, the sugar would keep you alive. We developed the pathways to turn that sugar into fat and store it away. So the sugar became food to survive till tomorrow on, and food to generate fat to store away for the times when it's snowing and there's nothing growing and you can't go out, and at least you got body fat and you're fasting. So fasting is a normal human state. There was no steady food supply. There wasn't a 7-Eleven on every corner. And these physiologies developed. And that's one of the reasons we survived this long. And we're here to talk about it today. And nobody outside of our community, and a lot of people in our community, gives a second thought to how serious an addiction sugar addiction is. It's a slow poison, and it's responsible. That and seed oils. Well, we were never addicted to seed oils. Seed oils were thrust upon us with politics and propaganda in the last 100 years. And those two things are slowly poisoning us. And you turn on the morning news, and the best news you have is from some hospital that's raised enough money to double the size of their dialysis ward. How about why do twice as many people need dialysis as they did 5 years ago? Nobody asked that question. They're so busy trying to figure out how to treat all the new illnesses and the new diabetes and the more obesity I keep yelling, it's the food, stupid, but nobody seems to take that seriously. And I can understand why, because you just don't hear about it. You don't hear about it in the public media. You don't hear about it anywhere. I did a little video the other day about the morning news where they were talking about the expected rise in cancer. Well, they didn't say one word about how, what's causing this cancer and how do we fix that? Why is cancer? None of that. No. The whole story was, how are we going to treat all these new cancer cases? We're going to have to build new hospitals in 2 out of 5 countries. People can't get the care. If you fix the problem, you wouldn't need the care. Why is nobody talking about that? Well, it's because the people that do the talking are being paid by the people that are causing the problems. We all know that. We know it till we're blue in the face, but the word's got to get out. And I keep talking about it, and I'll keep talking about it. And if it bores some people because they say, well, that's Mitch, he's always talking about addiction. I'm sorry. It's like Christmas. It's the reason for the season. It's the thing that has caused the problem, and the sugar addiction is the worst of them. Worse than alcohol, worse than nicotine, worse than caffeine, worse than cocaine, heroin. Sugar, biologically, was our first addiction. from millions of years ago till today, from the first Homo habilis that was considered part of genus Homo, an actual human. They were developing the physiology to process the sugar that kept them alive when the real food, the meat and the fat, was unavailable. The need for that sugar was as strong as the need for sex. And those two things were the prime drivers of perpetuating the species. Without either of those, we wouldn't be here today. And when you consider the fact that in 1,000,000 years of time, which is just a little less than half the time that the genus Homo has been alive and wandered around the world, in 1,000,000 years, there are 20,000 or 50,000 human generations, 50,000 generations. In your own ancestry, if any one of those 50,000 of your ancestors that go way back didn't make it, you wouldn't be here, neither would I. Somebody else would be here. So the odds that we're here are miraculous to start with, and the mechanisms that allowed us to be here are the ones that are causing us all this trouble today. So it's been linked about tomorrow's video, and this is great. It's been linked, well, sugar and eating sugar and from the sugar addiction is leaked, and everybody talks about dopamine. They talk about the release of dopamine, and that causes pleasure, and that gives the animal an incentive to do more of that particular activity that causes pleasure. A little while ago, I started hearing some other theories on that, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm saying that it doesn't make any sense, because the pleasure only comes after you've eaten the sugar. What drives you to eat the sugar? That's what causes the cravings. And I've always wondered about that. Well, Dr. Nadir Ali, who's a cardiologist out in Texas, is a brilliant man. I think I recommended one of his videos on Saturday, on one of my Saturday Watch This things. And he released a video, and I made a video telling you to watch that video and talking about this subject. And I won't do it all here, but it's something worth watching. It explains so much, makes it all so clear, and will help everybody that watches it understand the things that drive us to mindlessly consume stuff we all know is no good for us. We all know puts weight on us. We all know we don't want it, but we can't help ourselves. We are out of control in all, every sense of the word. Understanding why that is, and the hacks that you can do to stomp that out when it happens are the secret to surviving that first 3 days, 7 days of carnivore. Because after a month or two, your chemistry changes enough where these cravings are not hounding at you like they used to. And after 6 months, they're gone. And I've been a year and a half on carnivore, and they're completely gone. I mean, I don't even want that stuff anymore. I have no desire. I don't think about it. Nothing triggers me. Nothing except eating it. So I just don't eat it. Anyway, watch that video tomorrow. It's going to be released, I think, at 1:45 in the afternoon Eastern time. But that's a good one. I'm hoping you'll enjoy it. It's very informative. And then I linked Dr. Ali's video down in the show notes. And if you're not really tired of this scientific stuff by then, watch it. It should help you. I want to make another announcement here. This guy here, let's see, where is my button that I want to push? Button, this one, there. Do you know who that guy is? Any of you guys recognize him? I hope he's probably sleeping now. He's over in England. Anyway, that's Lee Kopus. And his YouTube channel's name is Kent Carnivore. There you go. Lamb says Kent. Yeah, Kent Carnivore. You people know who he is. I recommended my 10 favorite YouTube channels last week, and he was on the list. And he was on the list. Florida knows. He was on the list for a reason. The reason he was on the list is he has no colon anymore. He had an ostomy. He had ulcerative colitis, which is, in the same IBD family as Crohn's disease. The medical community, of course, recommended that he eat all the stuff that caused it. More plants, more fiber. Don't you dare eat meat. Meat's going to give you cancer. Blah, 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 blah. And it wrecked him. It just completely wrecked his life. He now has an ostomy bag that he wears. And he became not only a carnivore, but he became a turbo carnivore. He is an obsessive compulsive carnivore. I mean, this guy, he released a video today that was great about what he eats and everything. And he's made some terrific videos, and some of his videos, I think one or two of them have gotten 1 million views. I mean, he's a great editor, and he tells a great story. He's just a down-to-earth, decent guy. And I don't know how we got connected. I've commented on a couple of his videos. He commented on a couple of mine, so I emailed him. And to make a long story short, a week from Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but the one afterwards, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, I'm going to have an impromptu live stream, and Lee is going to be on the live stream with me, the two of us. It's not an interview. It's not one of the same. It's not going to be anything like the same kind of stuff you normally see, where the same person gets interviewed by everybody on the planet and gets asked the same questions and answers the same answers. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with those things, but if you've heard it, you've heard it. What we're going to do is we're going to have a joint live stream, and we're going to answer questions, and we're going to try to focus on the kind of things that he knows a lot about. The digestion, the gastric type stuff. And he will probably tell all of us about what he discovered. And this was the most valuable part, and why I was so fascinated with his story. Everybody will tell you what's going on in your colon. Everybody will tell you. It's propaganda. If you eat meat, you've got 20 pounds of red meat, undigested red meat, rotting in your colon. That's the battle cry of the vegans. They'll tell you why you need all this fiber. They'll tell you all of this crap. Well, here's a young man that has no colon, but he's got a bag. And he can see exactly, like none of us can, exactly what would have entered his colon from his small intestine. And he knows, and he can testify that all of that is garbage. As a matter of fact, when you eat a diet of 100% animal products, none of it, almost none of it, ever gets to the colon. Which is why, for me, here comes the bathroom talk, guys. For me, I go every 4 to 6 days a little bit, and that's it. I used to, when I first started carnivore, I thought I was blocked up or constipated, but no, it was just, none of it makes it past my intestines. It's all absorbed. The 2+ pounds of food that I eat every day, my body is using that. It's not wasting anything. And if my body's not wasting anything, there's no waste. And Nobody can refute refute Lee. Nobody can say, well, you're a liar. You don't know what you're. He's one of the only people, or people like him, that can actually prove that what we're saying about digestion and food and no need for fiber and all the other crap that we get from every angle, from the doctors and the vegetarians, he can prove it. And that's one of the reasons why I was so fascinated when I first saw one of his videos. And he's wide open about this too. I mean, he has pictures of himself with the bag. I mean, it's great. It's real, and I am so looking forward. I've never talked to him yet. We're going to probably get together on a Zoom call or something beforehand. But next Saturday, I'll be putting out some notices for it. I hope it all comes together. It looks like it will, and I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to doing this with Lee, and I wanted you to all know about it, and I hope you look forward to it too. Let me take a second here, and let me finish my coffee. You know, just talking nonstop. Well, we're setting this live stream tonight is setting a new record for me. I have 180. It says I have 184 people. Oh, it just went down to 181. Well, I've never gotten near that before. Thank you, thank you. I guess that it's interesting for you. Oh, I did want to talk about one other thing, and then I'll get back to the chat. You know, when I a few months ago, I also made a how to make ribs video, and I spent a whole lot of time pulling that membrane off the rib. Remember that? And I got a lot of heat for that. I got a lot of comments. Don't eat the you don't take the membrane off and everything. So the next few times I made the ribs, I left it on and found out not only that it is connective tissue and collagen, which is really good for you, and we don't get enough of that in our food, but that when you cook that membrane, have you ever, I'm sure you all have, you've eaten a sausage or a hot dog with a natural casing, and that's a less disgusting way of saying an intestine, because that's what they stuff sausage in. When you cook them and you take that first bite and they kind of go pop, they got that little, it's almost a crunchy feel to it, to the casing. Well, that's what happens to that membrane when you cook it. And when you eat it, it actually has a great flavor to it, and it's good for you. It's collagen and everything. So I'm so proud of myself. So proud of myself for learning how to leave the membrane on the ribs and eat the membrane. And the only downside to it is if you put seasonings on the bottom, the membrane keeps the seasonings from absorbing into the meat below. But we're not doing a lot of seasoning on these things. So I'm busy being proud of myself for learning how to not remove the membrane, which is a lot of work anyway. And sure enough, I get a comment today with somebody telling me that you need to take that membrane off. So I don't know how to tell you this, guys. I don't care what you do. 50% of the people are going to be against you, and 50% of the people are going to be for you, or almost 50%, and then 2 or 3 that can't make up their minds. But my advice is leave the membrane on. Tastes good. It's not tough to eat at all. Like I say, it's almost like eating the casing on a sausage, and it's got a lot of collagen and a lot of connective tissue. It's good stuff, healthy stuff. I first heard that from Ken Berry, so we all know that that's got to be correct. Michael Prager says he pokes holes in it with a fork. Banjo Brat says nose to tail. Yeah. Hey, Chris Hope, my buddy Chris Hope from Texas. Oh no, you didn't pull the crap. I didn't see you in the chat there, Chris. How you doing? Chris is one of my best and oldest drone buddies. It goes back years. He's a real gentleman. I love him. He's one of the few people on the planet that I actually get a text from on my birthday, and I always feel guilty because I don't text him on his birthday. But He's one of those kind of guys. We all know some of them. Thanks, Chris. Good to see you here. I'm glad to see you here. Yeah, Florida says never watch Laws or sausage being made. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Although the kind of, you remember we used to buy hot dogs and people used to say, "Ooh, how could you eat those hot dogs? They have all kinds of stuff in them. They have organs and heart and liver and everything, and that's horrible." And turns out that's the best thing in the world for you to eat. It's amazing. It's amazing how advice changes every day, and what used to kill you yesterday is healthy today. This stuff is, they still can't make up their mind. One year coffee's no good for you. Next year coffee is the greatest thing in the world for you. What else we got here? Cranky Carnivore Cutler likes organs. I cut the sauce. I don't see a lot of questions for me. I guess nobody has to ask me. I just come out with it. Let's see. What did I miss? We have Leah Weiberg here from Denmark, and glad to see. I love to see you guys all engaging in conversation. Here's a Keystone Ken asked me a question. Finally, Mitch, have you read Brett Weinstein's The Hunter-Gatherer's Guide to... No, I haven't. I haven't read that yet. Who has time to read? I mean, I have to watch YouTube videos to keep up with things. And there are so many great guys, especially the scientific stuff, which is why I watched Dr. Ali's thing today. It's over an hour long, but those kind of things, the Low Carb Down Under channel with all of the conferences they have and the speakers, the Paul Mason, and guys like that, Ben Bickman, those guys, they are so good and so knowledgeable and give us so much insight into why what we're doing is the right thing. And if we didn't have that, we'd be running around in a fog of doubt all the time and probably just give it up because of fear. It's hard enough to fight the cholesterol scare that we get from every angle about red meat and the cancer scare and all that other propaganda that we get, which is why, I'm here giving advice to people, and the last thing in the world I would want to do is give anybody advice that might hurt them in any way. So I constantly have to keep finding things that reassure me, not just for my own diet and my own health, but for what I'm advising, that people follow what I'm doing or do like I do. I have to be sure of this. I'm not getting paid huge sums of money or making huge profits selling products to people that are hurting them like the rest of the world is. We're on a crusade here to bring some truth into this. God knows there's enough evidence that the rest of them out there are doing something wrong. If you've ever been to a hospital emergency room lately, you understand what I'm saying. You have to believe it. It's just too many sick people with these chronic illnesses that aren't really diseases. They're slow poisoning. They're toxicity. Oscar Rodriguez says, Mitch, when whales could walk was amazing. Thanks for that. That was very interesting. Very interesting. I also, if you didn't notice it, I put in the show notes of that video a whole ton of other great videos talking about our history and how we got here. They're all terrific. They're all terrific. TCC Inc. RJ, Ketovore now struggling to go full carnivore. It's that last, I was keto for a long time, and when I finally give up that last bit of carbs, that's when the miracles started happening. And it was that the last bit of carbs were not letting my addiction go away. I was feeding my addiction because I was, even though I thought I was playing by the rules, staying under 20 grams of carbs a day, except for the few days every once in a while that I would binge, because that's invariably what happens when you don't cure the addiction. The cravings will derail you. But I figured, well, I'm allowed 20 grams of carbs a day, so like I've said before, I wouldn't waste those on broccoli, for God's sakes. No, I had to find something with the lowest carb count I could find that was sweet, because that's what I craved. And I settled on blueberries because everybody said how good they were, and I ate mass quantities. I tried to eat only 20 grams of blueberries a day. I succeeded on most days, but it wasn't until I gave up the stupid fruit that I started to get better. And after about 30 days with no fruit, the cravings really reduced, and I haven't touched any since. That was a year and a half ago. So even Ketovore with 10 grams of carbs. And one of the things that it does to you, I think, this is my opinion, another one of my wacko theories, one of the things that it does to you is, if you're counting carbs, then you're still in the mindset of having carbs. You're focusing on carbs. You're obsessing on which carbs to have. And you're missing the point, which is to get over carbs, because you're an addict. You're an addict. And if you're an addict, you have to abstain. That's true of any addiction. That's true of alcoholics. That's true of heroin addicts. You can't allow yourself to have a few grams a day and spend your entire day with your mouth watering, trying to maximize the pleasure you're going to get from that little bit of that drug you're addicted to, because you're just focusing on your addiction when you focus on which carbs you're going to eat. That's what I was doing. And we do these things, and we don't realize what we're doing to ourselves. We don't think of it in that light, but we are. So as long as you're eating any carbs, you're never, unless you're not a carb addict, and there aren't a whole or serious, but not a lot of people are not addicted to carbs. We came up as carb addicts from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Like I said, it was the first addiction that the human animal ever had, was sugar. It's an old addiction. It's ingrained in our genetics, most of us. And if you don't find too many people that say, I don't like sweets, but they might like bread or pasta, and that's sugar too. Biologically, we need no sugar. I haven't had a drop of sugar in a year and a half. Somehow everything's still working, and it's working better than it ever did. And I think hanging on to those carbs and trying to figure out how to make recipes, I've said this so many times, to make low-carb versions of the foods that you used to turn to because they had the sugar in it. Well, those foods are associated with eating sugar. It isn't until you give all of that stuff up that you can get over it. Because as long as it's in your head and you keep anticipating it, and when you see that video that's coming out tomorrow, think about what I'm saying right now about what causes somebody to have bad behavior and give way or give in to their addictions. And it has to do with dopamine. But the angle you're going to hear tomorrow is nothing you've ever heard, if you've never heard it before, about how it works, And the most important thing is not the dopamine, it's not the addiction, it's the trigger and what happens after you're triggered. And by concentrating all day on making that carnivore pizza and making sure you're using all the ingredients, the low carb tomato sauce and the and however you're going to make your crust and everything, and you still need a skim cheese like mozzarella because you know cheddar is not going to work on a pizza. You're going to end up with 5 or 10 grams of carbs in a couple slices, but you're so it's such a task, and you're looking forward to it, and you're putting so much energy into it. You're already sunk at that point. It probably won't satisfy you as much as real pizza would because it doesn't have the sugar. And you'll find over time, this is what happened to me. I'm just talking about my history. Well, once a week I'm going. Maybe maybe once every 2 weeks, I'll do this. I would do it with the blueberries, and I would do it with my homemade ice cream. I would take blueberries, and I would take heavy whipping cream, and I'd put the frozen blueberries and the heavy whipping cream in one of these little magic bullet blenders and make myself a cup of blueberry ice cream. And it was great. I didn't have to add any sugar, stevia, nothing to it. And all I had in there, I had a lot of fat, but the only carbs were from the berries. The problem was, after I got done eating that little cup of blueberry, I would finish the rest of the 3-pound bag of blueberries because I needed this, my body wanted the sugar, and I gave it a little taste. So thinking that you're going to get away with your subconscious being happy, having not really pizza, but something that might resemble pizza or taste like pizza, and it's expecting sugar, forget it. Your biochemistry is not going to allow that, and you will find yourself now doing that every night or every other night until your diet, you forget you're even on a diet, and you say, to hell with it, this isn't working, I'm still gaining weight or whatever. And maybe some people can get away with that with the keto cookies and the keto ice cream and the keto cheesecake and the keto pancakes and all that stuff. But as long as you keep focusing on those foods that you were addicted to because of their sugar content, you're still living in that world, and you don't give yourself a chance to really adapt to the carnivore world where your biology actually becomes fat adapted. And in the keto world, you spend all your time chasing ketones. Am I in ketosis or not in ketosis? I got to stick this finger and stick that finger, and I got to wear a CGM, and I got to, well, none of that stuff is necessary when you're eating no sugar. There's nothing more you can do. You can't control your biochemistry. I'm sorry, you just can't. Trying to stick yourself and monitor yourself and drink exogenous ketones and do all this other crap so that you can continue to eat 10 grams or 20 grams of carbs a day and feed your addiction, that's counterproductive. More and more people, I think, are realizing that if you really want to live the primal lifestyle, if you really want to live the authentic ancestral diet from 100,000 years ago, it's carnivore. Period. If you want to treat yourself sometime in the fall when blueberries in season, have a few. Because that's what our ancestors did while they were in season. But they weren't available. They weren't being flown in from Brazil every day or wherever else in the world they happen to be in season. We're not designed. We're not designed to live next door to a 7-Eleven where everything that we might want, the phony food, the processed food, all that stuff which is manufactured and scientifically engineered to feed, to be so addictive you can't stop eating that stuff. We're not designed for that. So I've really gone hard advocate for carnivore, and the only difference between carnivore and ketovore is 10 grams of sugar a day. And I don't care what you call carbohydrates, it all breaks down to glucose, which is sugar. So, I mean, wheat and bread, starches are just long chains of glucose molecules, complex carbohydrates. But they break down. You have enzymes in your saliva that'll take that long chain of glucose and break it down in an instant. And we're addicted to that stuff. So anybody, and this was all triggered. See, this is what happens to me. I go off on these tangents. That whole rant was triggered by a comment that said I'm struggling on ketovore. And everybody struggles on those things. And they need a lot of hand-holding, and they have to monitor everything. And there's a lot of doctors and YouTube channels that are great people out there. But all they talk about is monitoring whether you're in ketosis or not. You don't have to on carnivore. It's stupid. There's nothing more you can do. Your body's going to do what it wants. If you feed it nothing but meat, it'll be in ketosis when it needs to be. It'll be out of ketosis when it doesn't need to be in ketosis. That's how it's supposed to work. We're supposed to be hybrids. We're supposed to be able to run on two different kinds of fuel, like a Prius. We can be electric or we can be gas. We can run on fat if that's what we got, and we can run on sugar if that's what we got. We run better on fat, but we can run on sugar when the fat isn't around. Ask Bart K. You all know who Bart K. is. Ask him what the Randall cycle is, and ask him what that does. That's where in each cell, the pathways that create the energy that we live, that drives us, that's where the switch is. That switches the metabolism from burning sugar to burning fat. And it happens all the time. Nobody who's a fat burner is a fat burner 24/7. And we can't regulate that stuff. The only control that we have over that stuff is the food we eat or the drugs we take. And the drugs aren't a great way to try to interfere. Now, if you're a diabetic, it's a different story. You've got something broke, and now you have to take some exogenous or external substances to regulate things. You need to shoot insulin, you need whatever you need to do. But if nothing's broken, you don't have to worry about it. You just have to feed it. You have to feed it correctly. And it turned out, it was the biggest surprise of my life, and the only regret I have is it took me 75 years of living to finally get it right. 75 years. Because when I was 74 years old, I was on keto. And struggling on keto. And even then, 2.5 years ago, I thought carnivore was the most absurd thing I'd ever heard. I used to say, nobody can do that. Nobody. How the hell can somebody live on just meat? And a year and a half later, now I'm saying, why the hell isn't everybody just living on meat? I don't understand how they can eat all that other crap. So never say never. Let me finish my cold coffee here. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, hot coffee's better. So, let's see what's happening here. We had another bunch of chats go by. Michael Prager says it only took him 65 years. Yeah, you're a youngster. What can I tell you, Michael? Aldo, I do like you, Mitch. When I do my groceries, take maximum 20 minutes. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing you don't want to be is you don't want to be in front of me in a supermarket. Most people. I joke. I move pretty quick for an old fart. And when I go to the grocery store, I'm on a mission. I don't know why. I have nothing but time, really. I'm not in any. I don't need to be in a hurry. But when I go out, I'm on a mission. Stay out of my way. On the road, when you're driving, get out of my way. If you're going slow, get over to the right. Don't, it's crazy. And I talk to myself. I guess because I was so busy all my life, always in business, always, with crowded calendar and always, always with things on my mind. And always had to get stuff done, always deadlines, always everything. That I still can't get used to this not having that. And I don't know why, but I force it on myself. It's like I'm in a hurry. I have no reason to be in a hurry. I know that. Doesn't matter. So in the supermarket, I move. I mean, I'm moving. And obstacle course, like this around. That's why I like to go to Sam's Club at 8 o'clock in the morning when they first open. If you saw that video I made a couple weeks ago or last week, I have the store to myself. It's great. And I move. I move. I'm interested in a few things, and it just so happens in order to get the few things I need, I have to completely go from one end of that store to the other. It's the meat department's way over in this corner, the San Pellegrino water is way over in that corner, and the cash register is way back in the other corner. So I move, and I joke about it. I joke about it. Anybody asks me, I'll say, I don't know why. I said, I seem to travel at 3 times the speed of humanity. And then I get in my car, and somebody, is going, slow in front of me, and I feel the urge and the need to pass them, and I don't know why, because I get home and I'm sure there's a lot of you like this. I get home, I pull into the driveway, I get out of the car, I take the stuff in the house, and then I stand there and I go, now what? I had nothing really I had to do, no reason I had to get home in a hurry, but I can't not be that way. So you don't want to be in front of me going slow. I am a speed demon, Mark's channel said. Yes, I guess, but I don't speed. I like everybody else, I mean, on the highway, I go 10 over, 9 over. I haven't had a speeding ticket. 20 years. I know that the police will give you 10 and write 11. That's the way it used to be. Now you get on the interstate. I drove over to Tampa, which is all interstate from one side of Florida to the other. And there's 2 speeds. They got 2 speeds on the interstate. They got 100 miles an hour and 60 miles an hour. It seems. You're either behind somebody going 60, or there's somebody pushing on you going 100 coming up from the rear. And if you try to just set your cruise control, yeah, you can forget that. They run you right off the road. So I usually set it at about 8 or 9 over, and that seems to do the trick until you come across the person in the left lane that will not move out of that left lane, going about 10 under the speed limit and creating traffic jams for the 50 miles behind them. But it's no pleasure driving anymore. I cut my driving. Devil Dogs for Life says, I love your rants, Mitch. This is a no BS channel. Yeah, I had an attorney long time ago, way back, when I was in my 20s, early 30s. I had an attorney. He says, you know what I like about you, Mitch? I said, no, Rick, what? He said, whatever's on your mind just comes right out of your mouth. And that's true. That's true. I've always been that way. Nobody has to figure out where I stand on pretty much anything, and I think that's a good way to be. It's a good way to be. Speed limit is 70 on the interstate. Yes, it is. So I would find myself going 78, 79 miles an hour, and all the people that are going 100 are passing me like I'm standing still. But at least we're not getting speeding tickets anyway. Grateful. Okay, DS111, Mark asked if you're on the West Coast. William McCarty, you're all. Mark, yes, says, are you in a Tampa Bay? No, I'm over on the east coast of Florida, in Melbourne. My son lives over here. My daughter lives north of Tampa. So I drive across the state every now and then. I think I had one other. Oh, I mean, I'd be remiss, guys, if I didn't remind you about my T-shirts and my Amazon links. So this live stream is brought to you by me, and I have just so you know, if you there it is. If you've asked me, where do I get this? Where did I get that utensil? Where do I get all the stuff that I use? And I have a place on my website, oldguycarnivore.com, links to stuff that I use every day, and it's broken up into sections: T-shirts, supplements, food and pantry stuff, small appliances, T-shirts that I wear, the cameras I use, and the exercise equipment that I have, because I've been asked about all of that stuff. And it's in sections, and it looks like this. And there's electrolyte powders, there's the pork rind crumbs and ghee that I use, and there's that smoked salt I used on the ribs, and this is salmon that I buy. I get this from Amazon too, that makes those salmon cakes. Those are great. I eat these Wild Planet anchovies, which are good. This stuff's all packed in water. It's good stuff. This is the appliances, the vacuum sealers I use, the frying pans that I use, a thermometer, all that stuff. Everything that I use in making those cooking videos, I've been asked in the comments, where did I get it? Which one is it? So I put this up here. Some gadgets. This is something that I have. It's a little portable gas cooktop, which comes in very handy when the power fails. T-shirts. I have my own T-shirts, the old in the merch store, and then that National Sarcastic Society T-shirt that everybody asked me. I put a link to that in there. And this is another one. This is kind of cool. It says, I forget exactly what it says. Every day, thousands of innocent plants are murdered by vegetarians. You know, basically eat bacon. The cameras and stuff that I use to film my videos are in here. I've had people ask me about that. And my merch store is pretty cool. It has, I have the T-shirts. I have like the one I'm wearing here with the carnivore food pyramid on it. We have, they make them in T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. They're really good quality stuff. And I have, they come in different colors too. Like, I think you have to click on that first. Yeah, then that would be a hoodie, and you can get it in the different colors. So if you think you could live another day without one of these things, this is where you find that stuff. And end of commercial. I appreciate it. Every little bit helps me out. Let's see here. We want to get rid of that. Get back to me. Okay, where was I? Aldo loves the shirts. Great, thank you. Lambs calls me, good on you, Sav. The old geezer makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've been called worse than that. And question, how long, and this is from Cranky Carnivore Cutler, how long until you post the question you're answering in place of John Lindsay saying hello? I don't get that. I don't know what that means. Are you talking to somebody else, or are you talking to me? I'm sure there's something else in the chat that I missed. How long until you post the question you're answering in place of John Lindsay saying hello? As it must be a reference there I'm missing. Look at my display, he says. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I do that all the time. Hey, At least it didn't go completely underneath me this time, you know? I do that every time, and then I watch. I need a drink. San Pellegrino. Fabulously sophisticated Italian water that came all the way here on a boat. Seltzer. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do that every week, and I watch the replay, and it makes me crazy. And I'm screaming at myself, Mitch, you left a stupid comment up there. I'll take it down. Boom. There you go. And Mark Yost. $2 super sticker. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate that. Very nice of you. And now it just says Old Guy Mitch. Oh, man. You know, I told you, you all know what I got here. You see it. I'm trying to keep an eye on all of this stuff. And maybe I'd be better off just trying to do these live streams in a notebook, but I'm too much of a gadget freak, I guess. No problem. Appreciate your channel. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it. Sav, now I'm 34, but finally me and my hubby are in. Oh, good, man. I wish, if I'd only discovered this at 34 years old, my entire life would have been different in every way. Maybe, I don't know, my life wasn't that bad, but Mitch, you're a great educator. Thanks for sharing your carnival experience. Tim Quad, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Always accepting compliments. John P. says, always reminds me of Blazing Saddles, where Sheriff Bart says, excuse me while I whip this. Well, certain things just become part of your shtick, and most of you know what the word shtick means. It's your act. And, BMAT, thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You are all gentlemen and scholars and ladies, and there aren't many of us left in this world, that's for sure. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. And I'll take it down, or else I'll leave it up there all night. Thank you. Thank you. What was I saying? Oh, shtick. Yeah, a shtick is something that you have to entertain. A lot of YouTube content creators and influencers on it are fabulous people, and they have great knowledge, but they don't entertain, unfortunately, and they don't last long. They don't gain a following because there's no fun. And I've always been kind of the class clown. I've always been the guy that tries to make people laugh. And when I started this carnivore thing, that was the see, I'd rather be smiling and happy and laughing. But that was the thing that I was puzzled about. I said, how the hell can I talk about something as serious as most of the human beings on the planet Earth slowly dying of horrible diseases from being poisoned by greedy profit motive food companies and big medicine, and yet still have people want to tune into me or watch my videos for something other than getting themselves all incensed, and mad, because there's no shortage of people that you can tune into on the radio and TV that'll get you all fired up and stressed out. I've had to tune out of most of that stuff, especially in politics. There's no shortage of people that'll point out the problems to you in this world. Everybody can tell you what the problem is. I'm looking for people that can tell me where the solution is, for God's sakes. So I didn't set out to try to do some funny things. They just happened. that excuse me while I beat my eggs thing, the first time I did that, it just happened. I was in the middle of a video and I got to a point where I had to get the eggs beaten up. I looked at the camera, excuse me while I beat my eggs. And I got all kinds of comments, like I was rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off. That's the funniest thing, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me while I beat my what? That I was getting all kinds. I said, well, that's fun. So I just started doing that. And then a month ago or so, I said, it'd be funny if I played some elevator music and put up a notice that we'll be back in a moment. So I started doing that. And then that thank you at the end came into it because we got a local car dealer here. His name is AJ Hires, and he's a huge car dealer, and he does every morning on TV, you see him 20 times in his commercials. And he does this whole commercial, and at the end of the commercial, he stands at attention and he goes, thank you. And one day that just came out. Thank you. And now I have a routine and people love it. So until they get bored with it, I'll keep doing it. And this closing thing of mine, take the rest of the day off and eat meat, that used to be in my drone channel for years. Take the rest of the day off and go fly your drone or go play with your drone, I used to say. For 40, 50 years, I've been giving everybody the day off. Everybody. Every time I go through a checkout line, when they're done with me, I say, take the rest of the day off. And they'll say, oh, I can't do that. No, you take the day. If you tell your boss I said it was okay. I mean, I do that. And everybody smiles and laughs, and I brought, a little cheer into people's lives. I just like to try to do that stuff. So, and this live stream, I don't want to rant all the time, but even when I rant, that's another thing. I have people that they care, and it's so great. They say, you're going to get yourself stressed out. You're going to raise your blood pressure. My blood pressure never goes up from those rants. If you remember Dennis Miller, remember he made his bones doing rants about things. Yes, it's serious, and yes, I really feel that way, but I hate to say it's an act because it comes from my heart, but it's not stress on me. It is my way of getting my point across. And I can be deadly serious, but I'm not angry. I can't let myself do that. I have to try to stay steady. I saw a question here. What was it? Somebody said to me something about my teeth. My poor teeth. Oh, God, that's another story. Oh, here it is. Question, Mitch, did you adapt your teeth cleaning intervals after going carnivore? I'm not developing tartar. No need to get your teeth cleaned. Lambs said that. Yeah, my teeth cleaning, you can see, I'm 76 years, I'll be 77 in 3 months. I smoke cigars, have all my life, drink coffee. I used to eat nothing but blueberries. My poor teeth. And the enamel on my bottom teeth here is gone from all the times that I've tried to whiten it or do things through the course of all those years. It just has. So I have at the roots of my bottom teeth, it's root, it's bone. And it's not white. It's clean as hell. I just had it cleaned the other day. But I don't have that Broadway dazzling porcelain looking smile. My teeth have yellowed over the years, and I refuse to have onlays or veneers or all the other stuff. When I see a 77-year-old person with a perfect white piano key smile, I say dentures. And my teeth are my teeth. My gums are in perfect health. My teeth are in perfect health. I go every 4 months to the dentist just to make sure that, the tartar gets whatever tartar, and it has lessened. It really has lessened. But on the gum line of my bottom teeth, it's stained, and it's the bone, it's the tooth itself with no enamel at that point. That's just from years and years and years. When you get 77-year-old teeth in your head, they're not going to look like piano keys, unfortunately. There are things I can do, but they're only cosmetic. And if I become a huge star, which I highly doubt will happen, there are a few things that I can have done to those teeth. In fact, the dentist suggested, we were talking about it, just that, when I was in there yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. They basically just rough up, they put the same kind of stuff they make fillings out of now. They can actually put it right, bond it right to the tooth itself, and it's very thin, and I don't know. He wants, there's 4 teeth that would have to be done. He wants $218 a tooth. So, by the time I got done, it'd cost me $1,000 to do that, and it's just cosmetic. It's just cosmetic. As far as my teeth are perfectly healthy. I have all my own teeth, but sometimes they just, maybe they look as good as they could. At any rate, I don't have any secret from you guys. We're all just trying to get through this life the best we can. Hey Mitch, love your channel. Have you thought about making your own pork rind or chicken skins in bacon grease? No, not. I haven't. I so sad. I almost feel no need for variety anymore, and that's the strangest thing. I'm so happy with what I eat, the limited variety, and there's a lot of other carnivores that you see who have channels. What's her name? Spath, Laura Spath, Lily Kane. These 2 young ladies, the 5 foods I eat every day. I mean, and they eat the same, that's it. Steak, burgers, chicken, steak, burgers, bacon, eggs, and, maybe one other food. Well, I eat bacon and eggs, steak and hamburger, and occasionally, once a week, I'll eat something different. I'll make a salmon patty. I'll make chicken wings. But most days, it's bacon, eggs, and beef. And I'll alternate between ground beef and a ribeye. Ground beef and a ribeye. And I'd say 6 mornings a week, 6 days a week, late morning, early afternoon, I have the same exact bacon and eggs. And I just don't get tired of it. And it's crazy I would never have believed that. I look forward to it. I don't think about food. I don't think about my next meal. If it's not there, I go without it. It does incredible things to your physiology. We go back to the way the cavemen lived. They didn't have variety. They had meat. They may have had eggs. They may have had different kinds of animals. They may have had a few grubby vegetables, but they did not have a refrigerator and a pantry and a deep freeze and all that stuff. And they didn't think about it. The caveman didn't come home from work and, honey, what's for dinner? And he didn't go, oh, not again. We had that last night. You never heard that. That just wasn't even a concept back then. How do you think, if you could bring a caveman and take him into public supermarket today, what do you think they would think? What the hell is all this stuff? They wouldn't even know it's supposed to be food. They would see all these bright colored boxes of shit. They wouldn't know what that stuff is. They would recognize maybe the meat department. But it's, we are so far from our roots and have come so far in such a short period of geologic time. Hundreds of years are an instant, a blink. Thousands of years are still an instant in geologic time. If you've ever seen these movies where they lay out the last 3 million years of human evolution on a football field and show you where the last, the agricultural era of 10,000 years lies, at the 1 centimeter line from the goalpost after the whole football field. You get up to the, this far from the goalpost, and that's recorded human history in the last 10,000 years, and all of the development happened before that. So in that short period of time, it's radically changed. Ernie says the Hebrew slaves complained about the manna they ate, that God gave them everything. Maggie May, simple eating, that's what I like too, Mitch. Yes, yes. These are just paleo fantasies. I don't know what you guys are talking. You're talking to each other. Bought pork rinds from the $1.25 store. They were plain, but they didn't include to say what they were fried in. Well, pork rinds, that's another thing. Pork rinds are like bacon. They are fat. They're made of fat, mostly fat. Why anybody would have to render out a pork rind in some other kind of oil or fat is beyond me. Just like bacon, you heat up pork rinds, the fat melts, and then they cook in their own fat. And the brands of pork rinds that I use, the Tue, I get them at Aldi. They're the Clancy's. And there are no added ingredients. It's pork skin. It's all that's in there. They don't fry it in soybean oil or anything. And the ones that they sell at Sam's in those big jars, cooked in pork fat, which is, why would you want to spend money? Why would you want to spend money on any other kind of fat when the thing you're frying comes with its own fat? And interestingly enough, if you look at the nutritional labels on a pork rind, there's more protein in it than there is fat. Did you know that? I got my daughter to look. We were talking about it. She didn't believe me. She looked at the pork rinds, and there was more protein in a pork rind than there was fat. And that makes sense. And that's because in our fat and a pig's fat and any animal's fat, there's almost like a scaffolding, a superstructure of protein tubules, a lattice work. Almost like if you put plaster on a wall, you put up a metal lath board first, where it keeps everything in place. And these protein matrix that holds the fat cells in place is protein. So when you cook a pork rind and you heat up the pork rind and you render out the fat leaves, most of the fat leaves the pork rind, but the protein matrix remains. And when you pick up a pork rind, it's very light and fluffy, because where the fat was is now air, and the rest of that thing that goes crunch is protein. So a pork rind is a healthy food, and that's what I love about it so much. We can use it to coat things, and we can fry them in bacon grease, all the stuff that we used to think was bad for us is health food. Bacon is health food. Bacon, Kiltz, Dr. Kiltz, you know who he is. He was interviewed, I think it was by Ken Berry or somebody. I saw it the other day. He was talking about bacon. And I've known this for years, that bacon is as healthy a food as you can eat. It's, as long as it's not overloaded with sugar, even if it's cured in a little sugar, it's not going to hurt you. As long as the label says 0 carbs per slice, you're okay, or 0 carbs per serving, assuming the serving size isn't this big. But you can find good bacon with little or no sugar in it. And you've got meat, you got protein, the fat. This is where most people get their minds blown. The fat in bacon, there's more monounsaturated fat than there is saturated fat in bacon. A higher percentage of the fat in bacon is monounsaturated fat, which just happens to be the kind of fat that all the vegetarians are telling you that's what you need to be eating, the monounsaturated fat. That's good for you. That's the fat that's in coconut oil. That's the fat that's in avocados. That's the good fat. Don't eat that saturated fat. That's the bad fat. Well, it just so happens that bacon, the epitome of what they call heart attack foods, has more monounsaturated fat than it does saturated fat. Monounsaturated fat is good for you, but so is saturated fat. Trans fats are the only ones that'll kill you, and those are the manufactured fats. Those are not natural fats. So if it comes on an animal, chances are it's going to be good for you. They still can't get over it. People are still convinced after all of this. For years, people in our community have been getting this information. We've been seeing studies. We've been seeing all the things that the public never gets to see. We're so convinced that we can't even imagine how somebody could not believe that this is the right thing to be doing, and yet. Tell one of your neighbors about it, especially after he says, hey, God, you look good. What have you been doing? And you start talking about carnivore, and they go, oh, I don't know. Doesn't sound too healthy to me. What do you do for fiber? I don't eat any fiber. No, well, that's bad for you. And you need to be eating a balanced diet. That's the most important thing to be. And moderation. You got to eat everything in moderation. Moderation and balance. That sounds good. I like that. I mean, it sounds good. In anything, moderation. You know, you could give anybody advice on any subject, and that would be good advice to give them. Usually, you know. Hey, Mitch, what do you do? What do you do with your investing? How do you invest? Well, I have a balanced portfolio. You know, it's balanced, and you know, and I don't get carried away with anything. I do everything moderation. I'm moderation. So I guess if you had to ask me how I invest, I'd say that the two most important points are balance and moderation. Sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, you can apply that to anything. It doesn't work with diet. But it just sounds right. It just sounds good. It sounds believable, and they got everybody fooled. And if everybody wasn't sick, I'd say, show me where the problem is. You know, yeah, maybe it is bad for you. Maybe you shouldn't be eating sugar, but where's the harm in it? But you don't have to look very far. You just have to come to my neighborhood. I live in a community, an over 55 community, with 650 homes in it. 600 of those homes are occupied by overweight diabetics. You can't turn sideways without seeing people that are in bad shape. And the scary thing is most of them are at least 10 years younger than me. And that's what's scary. The evidence is everywhere. Just go to the store, look around. They have to keep buying more of these, motorized shopping carts. Go to any hospital, look at the waiting rooms. Go to any doctor's office, look at the waiting rooms. Go to any laboratory, look at the waiting rooms. Look at people trying to get medical service these days. Drug shortage. It's crazy. It's nuts. And it's all caused by the food. And the evidence is so overwhelming. And yet I still turn on the morning news and I hear about meat causes heart attacks, and red meat causes colon cancer, and I keep hearing all the same propaganda, and I understand why I keep hearing it. And the answer is, what the hell can we, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? We can't change them. I said in that little rant of mine the other day, don't expect, and other people say the same thing, don't expect a top-down solution. Don't expect somebody in the United States Department of Agriculture to get a conscience one of these days, or even look into the matter to find out how wrong they are. That's not what their job is. Their job is to do what they're told. And it all boils down to who's paying the bills. And if you want to know who's paying the bills, just take note. If you watch TV where they're advertising, take note of the increase in the number of pharmaceutical ads that we never saw 5 or 10 years ago. And now, 1 out of every 3 ads on the morning news is an ad for some kind of drug, usually a very expensive drug, usually a drug that's not a cure for anything but a lifetime treatment for something, because that's where the money is. So my morning news is completely occupied right now with 3 major classes of advertisers, all of whom are preying on the public in one way or another. And they rotate through these 3 different kinds. We have got the drug companies, followed by the lawyers. Been in a car accident? Dan Newland got me $8 trillion. Thank you, Dan. We got them. And car dealers. Car dealers. You can lease this brand new Cadillac for $39 a month. Come on in and see us. Yeah, if you put $100,000 down. They don't tell you that on TV. Those ads are all so phony, it's crazy. So you've got everybody on TV promising you stuff they can't deliver. And we're so barraged with that stuff that has become normal for us, and we just take it at face value. It's astounding. It's astounding. And how do you live? I mean, this is the world right now. Old guy can hold his own almost 2 hours, John Boy says. Yes, sir, man. Not bad, huh, for an old fart. I was just thinking, how long has it been? And I looked at it. It is almost 2 hours, isn't it? Time for some more of this. Well, listen, before I bore the hell out of all of you, I always enjoy these things. It's like having a room full of company, even though I'm sitting here by myself, just seeing all the conversation that goes by. It's great. Mitch, do you eat sardines? I make a sardine omelet once a week. I did a video about my sardine omelet. It's out there. You can always search for any subject. You just type old guy carnivore sardine or something, it'll come up. I have 165 videos now on carnivore, and I have probably almost 400 videos on my channel, considering all the old drone videos. And if anybody likes drones, those are still back there. You can just go back and find them. Some of them are a riot. And you can see me at various stages of being fat and thin. Oh man, but yeah, I make that once a week. Oh, fast food ads. Yeah, you don't see as many of them now. I don't see too many McDonald's or Burger Kings. Not on the morning news. On the morning news, it's usually the big ticket stuff. It's usually because it's usually business people. People in the morning get up, they want to get out, they want to get to work. Maybe the fast foods, but I don't notice it. I see mostly car ads, a lot of lawyers. Oh my God, we got so many of those slip and fall guys, auto accidents, contingency. And they are all telling you how much, they're all showing their customers now, holding up big checks. John Morgan got me, $1 trillion. Thank you, John. It's crazy. It's nuts. And these guys are making fortunes too. It's just extortion racket. I saw somebody say, Mitch, would you say your eggs are well done? My eggs. I've coined a phrase for how I cook my eggs. And that phrase is speed bump hard. Okay? And I'll explain that. When I was a kid, I must have been brutally attacked by a soft-boiled egg or some runny egg. I have hated loose or runny, drippy eggs. When I used to see somebody take a piece of toast and sop up an egg yolk with it, I almost had to throw up. I had to leave the room. I couldn't stand to look at it. It took a long time for my mother to get me to even eat eggs. And the only way that she could get me to eat them was to cook them until they were like rubber. And that's the only way I like eggs, is hard, cooked very well done. Maybe it's a little less nutritious but that's how I can eat them. Otherwise, I don't want to eat. I cannot eat a hard-boiled egg. I can't eat a soft-boiled egg, a poached egg. No, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I need an omelet. Pure. I don't even like scrambled eggs, an omelet. So when I go out to a restaurant, they never cooked them hard enough for me. I always used to have to send them back. So I started to say to the waitress when she would say, how do you want your eggs, sir? I said, listen very carefully because I'm going to explain this in a way you can understand. I'd say, imagine that egg was laying in the parking lot and you ran over it with your car. You would feel the bump, like a speed bump. Speed bump hard. That's how I want my eggs. And it's a joke. And every time I go out with anybody that knows me for breakfast and order eggs, they get a kick out of me. So yes, my eggs are well done. I've been told that in many comments, but that's how I like them. Running eggs give me tummy problems, says Midnight Madness. Yeah. Jay Housen, this was my first Tuesday night, Mitch. It's been absolutely the best job. Info and many laughs. Thank you. Oh, my friend, thank you so much. I don't mean to be a comedian. I just, I have to, there's so much crap going on in this world, and it's so easy to get depressed, and it's so easy to get mad at everything, and so easy to get down. And the only thing that's keeping me alive is kind of a black sense of humor that and the ability to look at almost anything and find some humor in it somewhere to lighten it up. So I'm glad that I have this opportunity to let that side of me out once in a while. And I enjoy doing these things. I really enjoy doing these things. I enjoy the live stream that we do with the private community. It's a small group of people and a little more intimate, and we it's not really a show. It's more like people can click a link and come in, have a window, and we talk face to face in those things, and we have a nice time. And we're going to do this live stream a week from Saturday with Lee, and I'm hoping that's going to be very informative for everybody concerned. Looking forward to that. So let me take a quick look at the chat here and see. Question, Victory wanted to know if you eat pastrami. Oh, were you talking to Victory wanted to know if I eat pastrami? Jewish boy from Philadelphia. Well, do I need to say Jewish boy from Philadelphia that grew up 2 blocks from the deli and the bakeries? But I don't eat it anymore. And God, I loved it. I mean, that was my downfall. My downfall really wasn't so much the sugar. It was the bakery, the bagels, the salt sticks, the rye bread. Oh. I mean, even when I was a kid, when I was a baby, 3 years old, my grandfather used to wheel me on Sunday morning down to the where the shops were, and we'd go into the deli and he'd buy the smoked salmon and the lox and kippered salmon and these smoked whitefish and all the stuff that you eat in a deli. And then we'd go next door to the bakery and we'd have breakfast. I grew up on that kind of stuff. I love that pastrami, corned beef, all that stuff. But it's got a lot of sugar in it, and I don't miss it, because when I left Philly, I got away from that deli. Although they did have some great delis here in Florida, Rascal House, Wolfie's, the New York style delis. But I kind of got away from that over the years, and I don't really miss it. But I love that stuff. God, do I love it. You guys are gonna sabotage my diet here. Keep talking. I hope I didn't miss anybody too much. Victor, want to know if you eat pastrami. Yeah, okay. I'm looking for questions here. Jay Howson is leaving. Good night, everyone. Mitch is about to leave here too. Any other lunch meats? No, I don't eat lunch meat. I like salami. If you can find a good salami, it's good. In fact, Sam's Club used to sell these whole salamis that were really, no carbs in them, and they were really good. And I don't worry about the nitrates or the nitrites. That stuff's actually good for you. Contrary to propaganda, stuff's good for you. And I bought myself one of those little meat slicers, electric meat slicers, just to cut this salami up. And then they stopped carrying it, so I got a meat slicer. So I keep threatening maybe one of these days I'll buy a little small roast beef and cook it in the oven and then slice it up. But what am I going to eat it on? Pork rinds probably, because I don't eat bread. At any rate, somebody asked me if I kept kosher. No, I've never been that religious. I'm not a religious man. I'm Jewish. Like other people are Italian. Jewish is if you don't know, Jewish to us, Jewish is our country. It's our people. It's not the religion part of it to me is a whole separate thing. But my entire family came from Eastern Europe at the turn of the century, the Ellis Island days. My grandparents and my father. My father was born in Russia in 1901. My father. I'm second. I mean, here I am, one generation later, and he was born 122 years ago. And he came over when he was 10 years old in 1911. But he wasn't a Russian. Eastern Russia, in the area right next to Czechoslovakia, they weren't Russians there. They didn't speak Russian. They spoke Yiddish. And if you've ever seen the movie Yentl, that area of Europe that was depicted in that movie is where my father was from and his family. And they came here in and my grandfather was from Hungary and my grandmother was from Poland. All in that same neighborhood, that little area of Eastern Europe. And they all came over here in the early 1900s. My mother was born in Atlantic City in 1918. And I'm second generation from that crew. Yeah, the Pale Settlement region. Yeah, I never heard it called that, but that was that area got real bad. A lot of people needed to get out of there. All right. I saw that movie Fatso that you recommended. It was amazing. Yeah. Victory said that. Yeah. I have a clip from that movie. If you ever get to see it, Dom DeLuise, called Fatso. It's on YouTube. You can, for free. You can watch it on YouTube. You just have to search for it, Fatso. They got some of the greatest stories of these food addicted people trying to lose weight, and it's a comedy, but it's a great movie. I was going to use some of those clips in a video. That's why I have them. I copied them off of YouTube, just a couple of the scenes from it to make a point when I'm talking about addiction, but I never got around to that quite yet. I think we're going to call it a night here, guys. It's 10 o'clock. And let me get some traveling music. If I missed somebody's question, I'm sorry, but I try. I like that. I love music. I listen to music a lot. Okay. We've still got 138 people here. This was the biggest live stream, biggest attended live stream that I've done so far, and that's very gratifying to me. I love you all. I love the fact that I get a lot of new people. I love the fact that a lot of people, more and more, are beginning to discover what we've discovered and changing their lives in the process. It's incredibly gratifying to see the comments from you people and just to know that I've got a tiny little part maybe in this movement that's happening to try to regain our health and take us back to living a calmer, more normal life than this chaotic world we're living in today. So if we can fix it, we do the best. If we can't fix it for them, we can fix it for us. With that, guys, I'm going to take the rest of the day off. You take the rest of the day off and eat meat.